Hello, today we're going to be talking about the benefits of submitting to contests. And when I say contests, yes, we have a contest here at the library, but there are so many other contests out there that give you so many great opportunities. So I wanted to make sure that you were aware that if you weren't aware, here are some of the benefits and drawbacks of writing contests and how they can help you, but alternatively, what can be kind of a detriment to some of the contests. Not all contests are created equal, so it's important to talk about both the good ones, the bad ones, and all the nitty-gritty in between. The first thing that I would say that contests are best for is practice. Everyone generally says that writing is something you have to practice. I mean, everything's something you have to practice. Soccer, driving, if you want to get good at anything, you have to do a lot of it. And writing, it feels, because of the fact that you have a word count and everything, it feels a lot more like you're doing this insane amount of work. And yet it feels like so little payoff. This is where contests come in, because then even if you don't win, the payoff is getting to enter into the contest, or at least that's how I feel about it. Maybe other people disagree with me, but I feel like the payoff of hitting your word count goal is being able to enter into the contest and being able to participate and being able to see what happens. If you win, great, but even if you don't, it gives you practice. It allows you to keep refining and honing your craft in a shorter form. Speaking of which, being a shorter form, because most contests are short form contests, short story contests, or even novella contests. Very rarely are there novel contests. Are there novel contests out there? Absolutely, and I would encourage you to enter into them. But it's going to be a lot harder than doing short story contests. With short story contests, you can learn to operate under writing restrictions, and same thing even with larger contests, because a lot of times they will have, like, put it in this font, put it, include this certain prompt, include a certain amount of words. This gives you great practice for traditional publishing. If you decide to go the traditional publishing route, you're going to have it in a certain font. You're going to have it in a certain font size. You're going to have to make sure it's a certain amount of words. You're going to have to make sure that it is the right genre for the publisher you're sending it to, similar to having it be the same prompt and be under the same genre or whatever that they have for the contest. So being able to work in a short story contest or even a novella contest can help give you traditional publishing practice without actually going through the process of traditional publishing. Because if you can make it in a contest that has similar adaptations to traditional publishing, you're going to have more success in traditional publishing because you already know how to do it. The next thing that I would say is you can then use this to hone your diction, or in other words, word choice. With short stories, you only have a certain amount of words most of the time. As a result of that, you can pick and choose your words, and you can start to learn what words are more powerful. What words can you combine to be one word? What things can you do to have less words and yet simultaneously more powerful prose? One of the things I would highly recommend is showing instead of telling. Oftentimes with telling, it takes a lot more word count to tell than it does to just show something, because you can pack 7 or 8 details into one sentence, whereas with telling, you'd have to break that up into 7 or 8 sentences for each detail. Or make just a super huge long list, which is alternatively also very boring. So this can really help give your writing a crisper, cleaner edge, so that way you can have that practice, so when you submit novels and things like that, you have a crisper, cleaner writing style, and you have it feel more intense and more impactful and more powerful instead of just rambling along. Of course, the other benefits of contests are things like cash prizes. Not all of them have cash prizes, but some of them do, which is super nice. Alternatively, they can sometimes give you prestige or provide publishing opportunities. I know that there is one called the Ron L. Hubbard Award, I believe it is, that does a short story writing contest that not only gives you a lot of prestige if you win that contest, but you also get a cash prize, and if you're good enough, You can even sometimes get picked up by a publisher because of that award. And that being said, that doesn't mean you're a bad writer just because you don't win first place. Lots of first place writers for the Ron L. Hubbard Award have never been heard from since. They win the Ron L. Hubbard and then poof, disappear off the face of the planet. And then there are other writers like Brandon Sanderson. He actually won the Ron L. Hubbard Award, but he didn't win first place. He won an honorable mention. And this is Brandon Sanderson, someone who generally people would consider, he's a best-selling novelist. He does a lot of good work as a writer, and yet he only got honorable mention. So winning first place or even just getting an honorable mention, it doesn't matter. You can still be a fantastic writer and be able to place or even not place in this contest. There are lots of writers who have said, yeah, I submitted to the Ron L. Hubbard and didn't get anything, and then they're best-selling authors. So my point being that this can definitely boost your potential for getting published, boost your potential for prestige, boost your potential that publishers will actually look at your work. However, that doesn't guarantee it, and if you lose, that's okay. You still got that practice. Like I said, you still are practicing your craft, and that's the benefit of contests, truly, is practice, in my personal opinion. The other thing that helps is, like I said, it gives you traditional publishing practice for what publishers are and aren't looking for. Some of these higher end contests in particular are able to tell you, hey, publishers like this, publishers don't like this. Funnily enough, even though the American Fork Library isn't a higher end contest, because of the fact that I and the other two judges that I have are both they're English majors, I am a professional editor, we are going to be able to give you a lot more of that feedback about what publishers are and aren't looking for. I actually worked for a traditional publisher for 9 months as an intern before I went off on my own, and since then I've worked with several very successful indie authors, and they're absolutely fabulous people to work with. But my point being that if you are wanting to be traditionally published, submitting to contests that you know the judges are going to be editors, are going to be publishers, are going to be authors, is going to be very helpful for you, because then they can give you feedback, because then even if they don't give you feedback, oh, now I need to relook at it. What do you think they didn't like about it? You can reevaluate your own work. Even if they don't give you feedback, you can reevaluate your work and say, hey, what might they not have liked about this? This means that a traditional publisher probably wouldn't have picked me up. Why wouldn't they have picked me up? What can I do to change that and fix that and make it more likely that they'd be willing to pick up my story? Then I'm going to talk about the drawbacks, because unfortunately there are drawbacks to contests. In my opinion, the benefits far outweigh the drawbacks, but good to know. They usually don't provide feedback for why you were or weren't chosen. Now, this is where the American Fork Library contest differs from this. Now, if you're doing the Scary Story contest, that is run by somebody else. I will be helping with that, so you will get your feedback this time around, but in the past, no one's gotten their feedback as to why they were or weren't chosen. So, let me explain. I will always provide feedback as to why you were or weren't chosen, and so will the other two judges. We will explain to you, hey, if you improved this, you might have won. Or alternatively, you won because you did really good at these things. Here are other things that you can improve that would make your chances even better next time. I like to be able to give that feedback because I personally think the benefit of contests is practicing, like I said. But how can you learn better and practice better if you don't know what you did wrong? Like I said, you can personally evaluate, self-edit, kind of self-evaluate, but honestly, it's better if you just get it straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak, and be able to learn what they think you need or don't need. Most contests don't do this, though. I'll be honest, I don't know of a single other contest that generally gives feedback to all of the contestants, except for the American Fork Library contest. So in that regard, we're ahead of the game. Not all of them provide publishing opportunities or cash. Some of them are just for fun, but hey, I would say still do it because it gives you that practice and it gives you that potential to keep trying, to keep learning. The alternative that is also not so great is some of them cost money. Now, the American Fork Library contests, except for the Scary Story contest, are completely free. The Scary Story contest is provided for by the Friends of the Library, which is why they have a fee. However, all other contests during the entire rest of the year are free. I provide them for free. However, most other contests cost money or cost even a subscription to a certain writing platform in order to enter. Sometimes these writing platforms are super helpful, and so as a result, you kind of get a benefit either way. Other times, you can tell they're just trying to get people to subscribe to their platform by offering contests with big cash prizes. So be a little bit aware of that, and don't get a subscription just to enter into a contest unless you genuinely think that writing platform subscription is going to be helpful for you. If you don't think it's going to be helpful for you, there's plenty of free contests that you can enter into that are fantastic. Now, the last thing that I'm going to say that is the biggest drawback of contests, especially if you're doing contests in a bigger, wider range than the American Folk Library, you will often be competing with hundreds or even thousands. That means the competition is going to be stiff. So if you lose, you just got to look at it like practice. I know it's hard to look at it that way, but honestly, it's better if you look at it like practice. For getting rejected by agents, for getting rejected by publishers, because if you're going the traditional route, it's going to happen, and it's going to be hard. But that doesn't mean you can't make it. It doesn't mean that you can't get there. And you are competing with hundreds and thousands of people that they have to eliminate. This is going to be hard. There are times when there have been people in the contest, even just the contest here, which generally doesn't have more than about 25 people for the regular contests and not more than typically like 100 for the Scary Story contest. And yet that's still, there have been times where I'm like, I really hope they win first place, and they didn't even get an honorable mention because there were so many other good ones as well. There are times when it's just about the amount of competition that you're facing, not necessarily that you're a bad writer. You could be someone's favorite story, but you're not the overall favorite story, and so as a result, you don't win. That's okay. You're still someone's favorite story, and you don't know whether or not that's the case, especially in these contests where they don't give you any feedback. There's no way to know. So please don't get discouraged if you lose any contests or don't win anything. Keep trying and keep practicing, because that is the benefit truly of contests, is to be able to practice your craft and practice your skill. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a great week, and our contest for the American Park Library will be finishing up on the 31st, so make sure to get those turned in before then. Bye.